That's gonna drive me nuts.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here in our chambers, and thank you for those that joined us a little bit before for the ribbon cutting of our new chambers. And so we would just want to say thank you to all of our team that made this happen. I know it was a process of a couple of months, but at the end of the day, it happened, and we're really extremely proud that we have a chamber that's reflective of who we are as a city, and that this is the people's home. So this is not our council chambers, this is your chamber. And we want to make sure that people engage civically and that this is an opportunity and a space for all of us. So thank you. So with that, I will call this meeting to order at 6:02. And this is the City Council meeting, Joint Council Successor Agency Housing Authority and Successor Housing Agency regular meeting of May 21st, 2025. So again, thank you everyone that is joining us here in our chambers and those that are joining us via Zoom as well. So we're glad to be back in our council chambers. And today, just a couple of reminders in regards to how you can make public comments. Those are really important to our civic engagement process. So for today, if you want to join the meeting via Zoom, the meeting is located on the agenda. And for today, that meeting ID is 823-2210-8651. Also, if you don't have an access to a computer, you want to call in, the telephone number is 1-669-900-6833. And this is also, again, being streamed live on our YouTube channel. So please, just as a matter of note, is any public comments made there will not be recorded. To make public comments, to stay as part of the record of the meeting, you do need to be here in person or be on Zoom to make those comments. And as always, we do have a translator. Our translator is available today as well. So with that, thank you, everyone. And can we get roll call, please? Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item, which is public comments on closed session items. Today, we do have one closed session. The City Council will recess to closed session to consider personnel matters pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, City Manager Evaluation. So at this time, any member of the public may address the council on closed session items appearing on the agenda. Please, just as a matter of note, that we do have 3 limits. If you can please be brief and to the point. Do we have any members that are joining us here in our council chambers that wish to make public comments on closed session item? Okay, seeing none, then I will take it to those that are joining us via Zoom. And I can't see if you can. Okay. So there is no members of the public. So with that, we will close our public comment on our closed session items, and we will recess to closed session, and we'll reconvene our public portion of the meeting at 6:30. Thank you. Everyone, thank you. As we reconvene now, we reconvene from closed session, and we'll have a report out. I'll turn it over to our city attorney. I think it's on already.
Is that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yes, the on item number 1, which was the city manager evaluation, the council just met to discuss process and so forth, setting some deadlines, and formed a subcommittee for the evaluation process, but no other action was taken, no other reportable action was taken, with the plan being that the evaluation will be completed by the first week in July.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, which is, did I lose my agenda here? So we have our our Pledge of Allegiance. So if we can please stand, and if you can join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I have Natasha here from our Girl Scouts, if she can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Mike. Okay. So at this time, do we have any additions or modifications to the agenda?
No, there are no additions or modifications.
Okay, then we'll move on to public comments. So at this time, we do have, for the public, to be able to address items not appearing on the agenda, but of items of interest to the public that are within the jurisdiction of the city council. Just a couple of notes is, please, if you have a public comment, if we can have you come up to the podium. Did you have 3 minutes to speak? If you can be brief and to the point, we would appreciate that. So at this time, do we have any members of the public that wish to make a comment from those that are joining us here in our chambers? And then I will take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom. Okay.
I can't hear you too well. I'm not prepared for public comment. I really came here to promote our biggest fundraiser for the Soledad 4th of July Committee, which is this Friday at the California Gourmet Pizza. And all the tickets are sold, but I still am in need of collecting from certain people. But I have duplicate tickets made up because I do have to have 100 tickets. So anyway, the Soledad 4th of July Committee, we're having our biggest fundraiser. As you know, we have to raise $8,000 between now and July 4th. Thank you to the city that paid the other $8,000. But I think I spoke to a couple of you on the city council. I think this is going to have to be our last year with a professional fireworks show. The prices are just getting prohibitive. You know, that's a lot of money, you know, $16,000. I know Eva probably is disagreeing with me, but, you know, it's hard to raise monies in these days, you know. A lot of people are struggling. So anyway, we hope this event will be successful, that I know we won't raise all the monies by this event, but we'll make it. But I'm just thankful that the city has cooperated with us, and maybe we can think of something for next year. Okay, thank you.
Who do we write the check out to?
Soledad 4th of July Committee.
I got my
Thank-
check right now.
Thank you, Pauline.
And I already have yours.
Thank you. And I did give my check to Darlene, so she'll give it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not so worried about the money part of it. It's the ticket stubs. I do have to have 100 ticket stubs. So I have made duplicate ticket stubs.
Thank you, Pauline. So we can make sure we connect with you if we need anything else, but thank you.
Yes,
for those
correct.
comments.
Correct.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. So do we have any other public comments at this time?
Hello, I'm John Ordunas. I'm the Vice President of the Saudade Cemetery Board. And Desiree is going to give her presentation. But I'd like to say that I've been following the cemetery for 50 years. And my dad was a caretaker there, so I'm on the board. And I like to praise Desiree Barba, because after she came on as a board member, everything has changed completely. 2 years ago, the cemetery was really bad, and she doesn't really get no credit, but she's the main person that really has turned things around for the city of Saudade. And I'd like to thank you, Desiree, for what you've done for the Saudade Cemetery.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, council, we'll move on to any other public comments. And we will have a presentation on that later, so we can have additional comments from the council at that time. This is our public comment portion, so want to make sure that we afford opportunities for those that are making public comments on items not on the agenda. Okay, so let me take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom. Any members of the public that are joining us via Zoom would like to make a comment on items that are not on the agenda? Okay, and I'm not seeing any raised hands, so we will close the public comment portion and we will move on. Just before we close the public comment portion, do we have any written public comments at this time? Okay, no written public comments, so we will move on then to council presentations. So today we do have a total of 3 proclamations. The third one we'll reserve for a later time. But we do want to start with the first proclamation of the City Council of the City of Saudade recognizing May 18th to the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. And if I can have Mayor Pro Tem, if you can read the proclamation, please.
And Mayor, I am so sorry. I probably should have said this in modifications, but I do not see Public Works here, and I think we're intending on being here.
Okay, so we
So
can wait
start with
on
that one.
that. So we'll do the second. So we'll move on to our second proclamation, which is the proclamation of the City Council of the City of Saudade recognizing May 23rd, 2025 as National Poppy Day. And if I could read the proclamation, I know we do have members of our American Legion Auxiliary Unit 81 here. And we have Natasha McCann, also with our Girl Scout troop, and so want to make sure we give her an opportunity after also to share a few words. So, whereas for more than a century, the red poppy has symbolized the sacrifice of U.S. military service members who have given their lives in defense of freedom, and it continues to be a poignant reminder of the cost of war and the price of peace. And whereas inspired by World War I poem In Flanders Fields, the red poppy was adopted by the American Legion family in 1920 as a symbol of remembrance and has since become an enduring tribute to our nation's fallen heroes. And whereas each year on National Poppy Day, citizens across the United States wear a red poppy to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice and to show support for veterans, active duty military personnel, and their families. And whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize the significance of the poppy and to encourage all citizens to pause and reflect on the true cost of freedom. And whereas American Legion Auxiliary Unit 81 and Gonzales Post 81 have been supporting local veterans and will host an open house on May 23rd to educate the community about the importance of National Poppy Day. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Saudade does here proclaim May 23rd, 2025 as National Poppy Day in the City of Saudade, and we encourage all of our citizens to wear a red poppy. Thank you for the red poppies that we have wearing today as a symbol of remembrance and support for our veterans and active duty service members. So we will be presenting this proclamation to Mrs. Natasha McCann, and she has a few words for us.
Hello, my name is Natasha McCann, Jr. Hello, my name is Natasha McCann, Jr. Poppy Chairman from Gonzales Unit 81, a resident of Saudade, wanting to make the world a better place of our veterans and community. I wear a little poppy as red can show, that can remember who fought for me. Poppies are the Legion family's memorial flower and worn to remember our loved one who have passed, and we remember on Memorial Day. Our biggest day of the year is National Poppy Day, May 23rd. Gonzales Post 81 is hosting a hamburger open house to share how to become a part of the American Legion family to help units and posts in our area grow. I have worked on making several poppies that I am giving to City Council as a thank you for giving us your time. If you see someone giving poppies, they know they are collecting donations. Those donations become poppy funds that can be used only 5 ways. 1 for the rehabilitation of veterans honorably discharged from United States Armed Forces after April 6, 1917. For the welfare of families of veterans of the above named period. 3 for rehabilitation of hospitalized military service personnel returning home and awaiting discharge who require treatment in service hospitals. 4 the welfare of veterans, active military personnel, and families of veterans and active military personnel above the named period where financial and medical need is evident, or 5 for the purpose of poppy kits and supplies used to make similar poppies and poppy items that will be distributed for donations to the poppy funds. My goal this year is to make a big difference and show the veterans in our community how important they are. Thank you again for your time and giving me a chance to share about our American Legion family.
Thank you, Natasha, and thank you for giving us information also on the 5 different ways that those donations could be used, right? And so that's really critical. And thank you again also for all that is done also with the auxiliary, and I know you with your Girl Scout troops as well to support our local veterans. And thank you for our amazing puppies that I know all of our council will wear proudly to make sure that we're also supporting you and your auxiliary and your troop in supporting our veterans. Thank you. So, sweetie, if you want to wait until we're done with the other proclamations, and then we'd like to pause and take a photo, okay? So at this time, then I will turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem for the first proclamation.
And this is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad, proclaiming recognition of the National Public Works Week, which is May 18 to the 24th, 2025. People, purpose, and presence. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the City of Soledad. And whereas this infrastructure, facilities, and service could not be provided without a dedicated workforce of public works professionals who are parks and streets maintenance workers, engineers, water and wastewater operators, and administrative and support staff at all levels of government who are responsible for maintaining, rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water system, waterway systems, and solid waste systems, public buildings, parks, vehicle fleet, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the City of Soledad to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the City of Soledad is a member of the American Public Works Association and South County Public Works Association, comprised of the cities of Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and City of King. And whereas in keeping with this year's APWA theme of people, purpose, and presence, the Public Works Department of the cities of Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and City of King continue to collaborate to improve services to our communities. And whereas the City of Soledad is a member of the American Public Works Association, and whereas the year 2025 marks the 60th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it now, therefore, it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Soledad hereby proclaims May 18th through 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. The City Council encourages all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protect our national health, safety, and quality of life. There you go.
And we do have our Public Works Director here as well, to be able to share a few words on behalf of our Public Works.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. Don Wilcox, Public Works Director. As I'm sure the council would agree, we have a great group of public works staff in our parks, streets, water, wastewater support. They work hard, they're dedicated, they have pride in their work. It's just a pleasure to work with this group of people. And this week, celebrating their efforts is really appreciated with the council proclamation. So on behalf of the public works staff, thank you very much. We love working in Soledad. We think we do a good job, and we try harder every day. So thank you for the proclamation.
Thank you. Thank you. And Don, don't leave. At the end, we'll take some photos as well. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So now I will, on our third proclamation, I will turn it over to Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez. Okay, so we just have a little, so we have two of the same proclamations? Okay, so we have a proclamation. So we'll do the last proclamation for Memorial Day. But while we get that, can we pause? Can we pause for a little bit to be able to take some photos? So that we- Okay, thank you, everyone. We're back. Thank you for your flexibility as we pause for a moment to make sure that we acknowledge and capture some photos to acknowledge those that were here today and the proclamations that were provided. So with that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez for our final proclamation.
All right, this is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad in observance of Memorial Day. Whereas Memorial Day stands as a solemn occasion for our nation to honor and remember the men and women of the United States Armed Forces who gave their lives in defense of our freedoms and way of life. And whereas since its origins following the Civil War, Memorial Day has served as a sacred tradition, uniting Americans in remembrance of the ultimate sacrifice made by our fallen heroes. And whereas the courage, valor, and selflessness of these brave service members represent the highest ideals of our country and inspire us to cherish the liberties they fought to preserve. And whereas it is our solemn duty not only to remember the fallen, but also to support the families they left behind and to ensure that their stories, service, and legacy are never forgotten. And whereas the Soledad American Legion and local veterans will hold a Memorial Day ceremony to pay tribute to our fallen service members at the Soledad Cemetery on May 26, 2025 at 10 a.m. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Soledad hereby recognizes May 26, 2025 as Memorial Day and encourages all our citizens to gather in cemeteries, at memorials and parades, and in quiet reflection to express our profound gratitude and reaffirm our commitment to honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And at this time, I would like to take a moment of personal privilege just to recognize and honor my friend who has now passed, Tiffany Curley, and thank her for her service.
And also just as a reminder, we will also be working with our American Legion Post 32 members to ensure that we present also that proclamation during Memorial Day. So we encourage all of our residents to attend. If you haven't been, it's an amazing ceremony, and it's important for us. We have so many of our local veterans, and so we want to make sure that we acknowledge and honor them as well. So thank you. So the next proclamation or the next announcement, I will turn it over to Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez to share additional information.
All right, so you all are invited to our Pride flag raising ceremony taking place Monday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. We will also have light refreshments, and I just want to make sure that I point out the importance of recognizing Pride Month, especially during our current administration that we have. There's a lot of laws and policies that are rolling back a lot of protections for not only the gay and lesbian community, but also our trans and queer community especially. And I think I speak on behalf of all of us that we recognize this and we stand with our trans siblings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez, for those comments. Okay, so with that, we hope to see our community present at our Pride flag raising event ceremony on June the 2nd. With that, we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, which is presentation. So we do have a presentation from the cemetery board member, Desiree Barba, who will be providing verbal updates to our from the Soledad Cemetery to the council and also to our community members.
Well, hello. Thank you for allowing me to be here and to speak. Oh, sorry, I'm already loud. Don't want to blow anybody's ears out. Well, I want to start off by thanking our staff. We have an amazing group right now. Mr. Valdez, Mr. Olivas, and Ms. Cornejo. Without them, I don't know where we would be. Mr. Olivas does a fantastic job at keeping our cemetery looking beautiful and clean. Mr. Valdez works so hard in the office, and right now our biggest project that he's working on is mapping the cemetery and having it be accurate. Unfortunately, records weren't kept very well, and he's trying to put together a puzzle that's missing a bunch of pieces. And Ms. Cornejo was recently hired in April, and she is learning both. So she is on the machines, out there helping digging holes for funerals, and then she provides backup to Mr. Valdez in the office. So we're very blessed to have all three of them. A couple of updates I wanted to let you all and the community know about Block 1. If you guys haven't been to the cemetery recently, we finally have it cleaned up. There's grass. It's looking fantastic. The community is so thankful because it was just a big block of dirt, and a lot of our community members didn't want to buy plots there. While we were in the process of updating Block 1, we were able to have a Block 0, an additional 25 plots, which is great because since we're still trying to figure out the mapping for the dirt side of the cemetery, we're kind of running out of spots on the grass side. So Mr. Valdez was able to get us some irrigation on Block 1 and 0. So our grass is it's gonna stay nice and green. Also, we were able to repair the fence that was, I think a car ran into it and took out a chunk of our fence. The insurance did provide the money, but I guess it just never got taken care of. So now we have a full fence. It looks really nice. We've been working with the American Legion. They're getting ready to develop their new block for veterans. So I've been working with Mr. Ivy and Mr. Panziera on that. We are in the process of trying to get our new section developed. That is taking a little time because we haven't been able to find proper paperwork on it. So we're gonna have to hire a surveyor to come out and give us the parameters of it because Eva has helped us to get CAL FIRE to come out and clean all the debris that's been put out there. That's going to take place in June, early June. We don't have an exact date, but we know it's taking place in June. They've asked for us to put a temporary fence so that way they know exactly where they need to clean. I wanted to take the time to also, hopefully there's community members on watching, to remind our community to please have no breakables at the cemetery. No glass, no porcelain, anything that can easily be broken. It's a liability, especially when our staff is weed whacking. So the other thing is food and drinks. We continue to have issues with that. People leaving out cans, food. During Easter, we found a lot of plastic eggs with candy inside of it. We have a serious rodent problem there. A lot of squirrels, a lot of gophers. And we're trying to get rid of them, and those items are not helping. So if we can please get the community to stop leaving food and drinks and no breakables. We, as a board, decided to do a scholarship for one female, one male of the high school, $500 each. If they are interested and want any information on that, they could reach out to any one of the board members or the office. We are hosting a Memorial Day cleanup this Saturday, the 24th, from 9 to 1 o'clock. We want to make sure that the cemetery is extra perfect for the ceremony. And if time allows and we have enough people who will volunteer their time, we will be cleaning some headstones. Mr. Olivas has been working very hard on finding headstones that just have so much calcium buildup where they lose the pictures. So he's been taking the time to go out there and clean them, and he's done a fantastic job. And as you guys are aware, Memorial Day ceremony is on Monday, on the 26th at 10 a.m. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Desiree, for providing those updates. And I think this is critical. Thank you for being here because I know that the cemetery is really special and, meaningful for many of us. Obviously, I have my father that's buried there, and we have, we've heard from a lot of community members in the past that were really concerned about what was happening.
Absolutely.
And so I know for many of us, obviously, that's a place that's very sacred.
Absolutely.
And so being able to ensure that it's being taken care of, we just say thank you to you. Thank you to the board members for being able to do your due diligence to ensure that you're addressing the issues of concern to our community.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here so our community can can know what some of the improvements are, and they can reach out to you directly. So
Absolutely.
let me open it up to see if there's any, well, I'll start with Councilmember Caldera. Any comments, and then I'll move my,
Actually, no comments. I mean, actually, I do have one. I was there for the last weekend for Mother's Day, or 2 weekends ago, and the place looked really nice. It's really clean. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Just thank you for all you do. We appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Yes. First, I want to recognize your ability to organize. Everybody who was in the board, I believe that when you come with the desire to help, you can get everybody in the. It's contagious when you have that willingness to help. So thank you so much. I visited my grandmother and my mother. So in the cemetery, we have my grandmother, my mother, and my brother. So it is a place that we like to see clean, and it is clean. But so I know it's probably not your fault or not the board's fault, but if you check the Spanish translations and the signs, they're a little bit off. Yes.
Yeah.
So I took a picture, and if you want me, I could translate better and
Please.
send you the comments too.
I would appreciate it. Yes. Thank
Yes.
you. Oh.
Thanks.
Thank you, Desiree, for the presentation. And again, I want to echo what Desiree mentioned about, breakables. It's really important because it is a liability, and of course, it's going to snap. So we just want to just share again and echo to the community, please, remove the breakables because we want to make sure our staff is safe. Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank you for coming and providing those updates.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, council, so with that, we'll move on to our next item of business for today, which is the consent calendar. And for today, we do have 5 items on our consent calendar. So at this time, I'm gonna ask any members of the public that wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment. Seeing none in our chambers, I'll take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom. Okay, seeing none, then I'll bring it back to the council if there's any items that you wish to pull from the consent calendar. And if none, council, I wish to pull item C3 from the consent calendar for comments.
Motion to approve consent items. C1, C2, C4, and C5.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor, Councilmember Ansando Sanchez with a second, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so motion carries unanimously. So I pulled item C3. I don't know if we have anyone. Oh, we do. We have Ariana, our assistant planner, here with us.
She got promoted.
Do I keep saying
She's a senior
planner, senior planner? Yes, yes, congratulations. I keep saying that. It's our senior planner. Thank you so much for being here. So I have a couple of comments on this item. So I'll let you. I don't know if you want to provide a brief just on the item, and then I have my comments.
Okay. Yes. Hi, good afternoon, Council. Diana Mora, Senior Planner with the City of Soledad. The staff report and the item presented to you relates to the initiating the project for a Soledad titled Soledad Renewable Oasis. This item is pretty much to authorize staff to move forward with the environmental work that needs to be completed in order to have a complete application and then bring forward for entitlements and project approval. So the work is being consulted out by EMC Planning Group firm, and us as the lead agency, we have to work with them on the environmental aspect of this project to analyze traffic, any noise, aesthetic impacts relating to CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. So it is a requirement for this project. And us as a city, we work with EMC planning firm to make sure we check all the boxes for CEQA compliance and get this application complete. And then we'll bring that document back for approval through Planning Commission and then eventually City Council for certification. So the item tonight is not approving the project. It's more for the initiating the work. And then the project approval will come back at a later time once that environmental work is completed. So we are presenting a contract not to exceed $120,000. The contract itself is $115,250,000. But we are adding more funds for in case there's extra tasks or items that need to be completed. It's a contract not to exceed. So any other amendments would have to come forward for project approval. And the contract itself is 100% developer funded, so the city will not be contributing the funds. It's through a reimbursement agreement by the developer. So we manage those accounts and we make sure that everything is paid off by the developer, and making sure his deposit account doesn't go below whatever task that needs to be completed. And if you have any further questions on anything specifically, I'm happy to answer. I believe Ross, the project developer, may be on Zoom, but I think the item is mostly related to the contract. And I think at a later time, if council wishes, we can present more project-related content during a presentation.
Diana, so mine is more as you're doing the environmental work, just a couple of items of concern. Obviously, you're going to include mitigation methods in there, but I think for me as the council really made a commitment in terms of our general plan to be climate, to really look and address any climate impacts as we're moving forward. And any environmental injustice kind of issues, I want to make sure that I do vocalize as we're moving through this process, not within comment of the project itself, but more in terms of just potential for environmental impacts and then any of the mitigation factors. So I just do want to point out that obviously in terms of the trucking industry, it is the greatest contributor to our greenhouse gas emissions. So about 28% of the national data and about 37 to 38% of the state's total emissions. So looking forward to reading some of the mitigating factors in terms of those impacts. And then also in terms of the California Air Resources Control Board, obviously the air quality impacts as well in the mitigation to be able to ensure that we continue to have a clean air for our residents. And then also I want to also comment on the fuel options, which I think the biodiesel, renewable diesel technologies that it's proposing to bring, obviously it's important, but I also want to comment that in terms of the hydrogen piece, because it's going to have four different hydrogen plants, and that's kind of the proposal. But I also just want to make sure that we have relative data as it relates to how timely that hydrogen fuel is going to be made available. So I know the project is out like a 3-year time frame, but just just in terms of that, is wanting to make sure that we're looking at that and really being realistic. Is the hydrogen capacity? I know obviously California has the California hydrogen highway, but has a lot of challenges. It's had a lot of challenges in terms of accessibility to hydrogen, and then some of the industries that were supposed to receive funding on the federal side, like Arches, that was supposed to produce like 40 or 80 hydrogen hubs, they're being impacted by the federal cuts and also the cuts at the state level. So as we're reviewing this on the mitigation, I just want to make sure there's accurate data in terms of the realistic of having those hydrogen hubs and timelines for that to really happen if we're going to offset any of the climate impacts. Okay. So those are my comments, just to make sure that we have that included. And I won't address any of the project amenities because that'll come back to us. Okay, so that's it for me. And so as it's only for the approval of the professional services agreement, not to exceed 120, then council, I'll entertain a motion to approve item C-3.
Second.
Okay, so I have a first by Councilwoman Banuelos and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Cabrera. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll move on then to our next item of business, which is our business item number 1. So we'll receive Soledad Police Department AB 481 annual report and provide direction. And for the report, we have Lieutenant Santiago here with us to provide the report. Oh, no?
actually,
Who's
yeah,
gonna
I'm
provide?
go-
Oh,
I'm gonna be
oh,
doing
sorry.
it. Didn't mean to put
I
you
was
on the
already
spot.
putting you on the spot. Apologize for that. So,
So, yes,
I'll turn it over to our city attorney.
Mayor and Council. So, if you recall, back in 2022, pursuant to a state mandate, all cities were required to adopt a policy, and in this particular case, an ordinance adopting a police department policy regarding the use of military equipment. This was one of a number of transparency laws that were passed around the same time, basically to make sure that the public was aware of the military equipment that was possessed by various police departments throughout the state. The policy deals with the possession of the military equipment, the use of military equipment, and the purchase of military equipment. And by law, the ordinance must be, unlike most ordinances, this particular ordinance has to be reviewed on an annual basis. Additionally, again, by way of state mandate, the law enforcement agency that receives approval for a military use policy also has to produce a military equipment annual report. The annual report specifies the type of equipment that's possessed by the department, in this case, obviously the Soledad Police Department, how the equipment was used in the previous year, any complaints that may have been received regarding the use of the equipment, and any cost associated with the equipment. I can represent that my understanding after a discussion with Interim Chief Lombardi is that there is no plan to obtain any additional military equipment in the upcoming year. So once the report is received, there's an obligation on the part of the city to make the report itself available on both the police department and the city website for public review. And then not any earlier than 30 days after the posting of that report to hold a public hearing to allow the public to come in and ask questions about the report and ask questions also about the ordinance itself that you will be reviewing. So we have set that date for the review, notwithstanding the date that's listed in your report for being July 2nd, not July 16th. That'll be the date that both the ordinance will come before you for review and the date that we will list for the review of the annual military equipment report. So the only thing that the council needs to do this evening is to receive the report. That's the only action that you formally need to take, and then provide direction to staff to post the annual report on the police department and the city's website, and direct the meeting to allow public questions on and input on the report be noticed for the meeting of July 2nd.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so let me take it out to the members of the public. If there's any members of the public that have any comments on business item 1, I'll start with our council chambers. Okay, seeing none, then I will take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom for business item 1. Okay, seeing no hands raised, then I will bring it back to council for any comments or questions first. Okay, if no comments or questions, then I'll entertain a motion to receive the report, post for the annual report on the city and police department website, and move forward with the community notification for a public hearing to happen on July 2nd.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
so I have a motion, Councilwoman Banuelos, and second by Councilmember Caldera. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, council, we'll move on to our next item of business is ordinance number 722, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Soledad amending section 3.24.080 bidding procedures for public works construction projects of Chapter 3.24, Purchase Systems of the Soledad Municipal Code.
Like the previous item, this item is somewhat process heavy, but hopefully I can cut through the fat and get straight to the points. California law requires general law cities such as the city of Soledad to advertise public works projects for bidding, the bidding process. And public works projects are basically the construction, reconstruction, demolition, painting, and so forth of publicly owned, leased, or operated facilities. So every time we want to do something like paint the firehouse or paint those sorts of things, those are considered public works projects. And under California law, any public works project that's going to cost more than $5,000 has to go out to notice public bidding. It's quite a process that we have to go through. So fortunately, the law allows an alternative procedure for handling public works project known as the California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act. That's a mouthful that I'll just call the Act from this point forward. And the Act basically says that if you follow certain procedures and so forth that are published by the state, that you can avoid the bidding process or have a less formal bidding process for certain projects. And so what the ordinance that we adopted, in which the state act allows us to do, is to set up public works contracts into three categories: no bid, informal contracts, and formal contracts. And each one of these categories has their own monetary threshold and set of procedures that by statute and the manual that is produced by the state you have to follow. On September 2nd, the council 2020, the council adopted resolution 5635, which basically said that the city was going to follow the act, the provisions of the act, and thereafter in October of 2020, the city adopted ordinance number 735, which established a purchase system of the Soledad Municipal Code pursuant to the act. And at the time the ordinance was adopted, the monetary thresholds established for the three categories of contractual bidding were as follows. For no bid contracts, in other words, contracts where we didn't have to go through the formal publication of bids and solicit bids and so forth and so on, the threshold was $60,000. So for any project under $60,000, we could do that informally. We could pick up the phone and call some folks. We keep a list of folks that we call. We could use our own force works and so forth to do the work, but we didn't have to go through the bidding process. The next category is the informal bid category, and the monetary threshold there is $200,000. So for all projects that were less than $200,000 but more than $60,000, we had to go through a process of soliciting bids on an informal basis, basically quotes from folks who we think that can do the work, and we keep a list of folks that are that we contact and so forth with respect to who can perform a given public works project, and then we can award the project again without having to go through the process of publishing notice and receiving the bids and opening the bids and determining the lowest bidder and so forth and so on. And then the last category is the straightforward bid category, and that's for all public works projects over $200,000. And there we had to follow a very formal process that we used to have to do for every project that was over $500 or $5,000. So that's for all projects over $200,000. So that's a lot of words that I've said, a lot of rules and so forth and so on. The bottom line is that as of January 1st of this year, the monetary thresholds have been changed for each one of those categories, and we need to amend our ordinance to bring our monetary thresholds in line with what the new thresholds are. So the new thresholds for the no bid project is $75,000. The informal bidding one is for $220,000, and formal bidding is for any project that's in excess of $220,000. The law that set these new thresholds also made a minor change to the description of what a public project was to include installation work that's performed by the public entity, which is helpful. So for instance, if we wanted to replace an HVAC system or so forth, then we can follow this process. And so certain types of replacements of parts and so forth that are, for instance, under $60,000, we're going to be able to do on a much more, actually now $75,000, we're going to be able to be done much more rapidly because we're not going to have to go through that bidding process. Don is here, and Don can nod his head that this movement to the act has saved the city both, I think, a lot of money in terms of not having to go through the whole publication process, and it also has saved us from delays in the process because the bidding process sometimes can go on and on and on. So for instance, if you don't get good responsive bids or everything's too high, you have to go back out and rebid and so forth. There can be months of delay when sometimes you really need things on an expedited basis. So the movement over to the Act has been very beneficial. What I have then prepared for you, and it seems really long, I apologize for that, but it was the only way to make the changes, is the you have an ordinance that's before you. The new ordinance is 772, and it basically sets the new monetary thresholds in code, and also makes that one small change to the definition of what a public project is to include installation. The ordinance is before you this evening for introduction. Hopefully you will waive reading the entire ordinance and agree to waive to read just by title only, and then just introduce. And I see somebody shaking their head. In the old days, that's what we used to have to do, read the entire ordinance into the record. It was crazy. And then we will set a notice public hearing subsequently to have the ordinance come back to you for consideration for adoption. Happy to entertain any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of those, that detailed information in terms of some of the changes, proposed changes. So let me first take it out to our members of the public to see if there's any members of the public that are here with us would like to make any comments on ordinance number 772. Okay, seeing none, then let me take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom to see if there's any members of the public that wish to make any comments. Okay, so for those that are joining us via Zoom, okay, I see no hands raised, so I will close that portion of the public comment for our community, and then I'll bring it back to council first for questions or any clarifications on ordinance 772, and I'll start with Councilwoman Vignoles.
None.
Any other council members?
No.
Okay, so then if no further, then I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance and read by title only.
Read by title only and introduce.
And introduce. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Councilmember Ansaldo Sanchez, and
Second by
second
Caldera.
by Councilmember Caldera. Sorry, I'm dealing with some bug here. Okay. Okay, so we all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah, I will note it's encouraging that the legislature has sort of keeping up to date with updating the monetary thresholds, because that $5,000 threshold has remained that way for like 4 decades or something. It's never been changed, so it's nice that they're keeping up to speed on the act.
Yeah, thank you. I remember when I was with the city of Salinas on the public works project, so good. Okay, so we'll move on to our next item of business, and at this time is item number B-3, in lieu housing plan for a portion of the affordable units in the Miravalle Parcel E, Santa Clara subdivision. And I will turn this over to our Economic Development Director, Beatriz Trujillo.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Give me just 1 second to share my presentation. I think you can see. Sorry. Screened. Okay. Okay, thank you. So good evening, Mayor, Council, Beatriz Trujillo, Community and Economic Development Director. And I would like to acknowledge that for this presentation, for this item, we also have Mr. Leith Aga in the room. He is part of HMBY LP, and they are the developer for Parcel E, the current owners. So if at the end we have any questions, he's here happy to address any of your questions at the end of the presentation. So a little bit of background on this project. This project actually received an approved PUD back in 2019. This is part of the Maribel subdivision, Parcel E. And today we're here to talk about the affordable housing plan. So at the time that this project was approved, the requirement for the affordable housing plan was to have 52 affordable units, 24 moderate income units and 28 low and very low income units. What you're seeing on the screen is the proposed site map for the project. Something to highlight about this project is that it includes a portion of units that are for ownership, single family dwelling housing, and a portion of the units that are multifamily rental housing. So what you see on the screen on the site map, what it's highlighted in blue, that's the portion that it's rental housing. So those are gonna be the multifamily housing. Everything else are the single family lots. In 2023, the Affordable Housing Plan was amended to allow the developer to partner with a nonprofit developer to develop the multifamily housing. The developer partnered with Eden Housing, and at that time also Eden Housing wanted to apply a density bonus to the portion of the rental affordable housing side of the project. That was beneficial to them to make sure that they were more competitive when seeking funding opportunities. So that was amended in 2023. And what came out of that is that instead of building 28 units in the multifamily housing, we authorized them to build up to 40 units. So now zooming in into the affordable housing agreement and the proposed in-lieu plan, I wanted to contrast for clarity what is the current housing requirements and what the developer is asking for as part of the in-lieu plan. So the current housing requirements, as I mentioned before, I'll break it down by income. So under moderate income, the developer is required to build 24 units. But the problem with the current affordable housing plan is that even though it's 24 affordable units, they're only affordable at the time of purchase. So they are only gonna have an affordable price when the initial purchase happens. Whoever purchased those units, we don't have a restriction in those units. So if a month later they wanna sell it, they will sell it market rate and we lose the affordable units. Under low income, the project was required to build 14 units, and it has, at that time, it had 45 years restriction, but because they got a density bonus, it went up to 55. Sorry. Same thing for very low income, and the total affordable units that were originally required for the affordable housing plan is 52 across the different income levels. What the developer is proposing as part of the in-lieu plan is on the moderate income category is where the bigger changes happened. So he's proposing to build one moderate income home, but now that will be restricted to 45 years. Under low and very low, under low, Eden Housing will build 20 units and that will have a 55-year restriction. And under very low, they will build 19 and that will be also a 55-year restriction. The remaining unit that will be built as part of the rental housing, it's a manager unit, so that's no considered an affordable unit. So the total affordable units getting built under the proposed in-lieu plan is 40 units. Overall, on the income categories, we have differences, but the overall difference of the affordable housing units required, we are short with 12 units. What the developer is proposing is in the in-lieu plan is the in-lieu plan is supported by our municipal code, that's code 17.38-230, and this allows developers to request an in-lieu plan for council review and consideration. And this is what the developer is proposing. So the developer will dedicate 15,950 square feet of affordable land on parcel B. Parcel B is also getting close to being entitled. We hope that that parcel receives entitlement this year. And the in-lieu fee that he's proposing to pay $300,000, so $25,000 per unit that it's not getting affordable unit that it's not getting built. But the developer is requesting that City Council considers the additional 11 units being built under rent as part of the multifamily project. So because they're building 39 instead of 28, he's asking for those 11 affordable units being built by Eden Housing to be considered as part of his already built affordable units. So that's why we come up to $300,000. So $25,000 times 12, that's where we get to $300,000 plus the land dedication on parcel B. Some of the reasons to consider this in lieu plan start with the developer constraints. So Mr. Aga has indicated that he's been actively looking for to sell this property to a reputable home builder, and it's been a significant impediment for him to close the negotiation with a home builder. The other thing is the regional market pressures. So as a smaller city, it's harder for Soledad to attract builders, and especially reputable builders that we know that they're gonna start the project and they're gonna move fast and that we're gonna have those units in the market as soon as possible. Something that it's also important to consider as we discuss this item is the builder preference. So larger jurisdictions like Salinas, they're also advancing some of their plans that are gonna bring more developers to the area. But when a larger jurisdiction is also developing, and as a smaller jurisdictions, home builders they see more opportunity to turn a bigger profit with larger jurisdictions. So I think it's also timing ourselves to make sure that we get a home builder in our city before the future growth area in Salinas starts developing, because now we are competing